Following podcast contains spoilers, adult language, protests, tear gas, espionage, threats of a government overthrow. Oh, and we talk about The Walking Dead, too.
I see what you did there.
Right? Roll those opening credits.
This is a message from the Office of Emergency Preparedness. Due to the recent crisis, we ask that you remain in your homes. Do not attempt to communicate or interact with the creatures, even if they are people you know.
Lock your doors. Bar your windows. The dead are coming. It's time for Aim for the Head, an all Walking Dead universe podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Diana and Steve.
Hi, and welcome back to Aim for the Head podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Steve.
And this is podcast episode number 268. This week we will be discussing the last mid-season premiere for The Walking Dead Forever. It's also known as season 11, episode 17, title Lockdown. Pardon my emotional outburst.
You know what? I'm just happy to be here.
I am too. Aren't
we
all?
I mean, it's you come up with plans, and then the Almighty says, "Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna roll a little hurricane your way. How about that?"
Yeah. Folks who are frequent listeners may have heard us say the last episode that we wouldn't be recording for 3 weeks because we'd have an off week. Then we'd have the premiere, which Steve was going to be out of town for, and then we'd be back the second week of Walking Dead because Steve wouldn't be here. And there's I don't know if you heard of this hurricane called Ian that kind of ran right over Florida, which is where he was going.
Right where I was going to be.
And not only did it do that, but it really kind of made landfall right about where, like it made a beeline for right where you were headed.
Oh, man, it was terrible. No.
I don't want to say there were signs, but that felt like there were some signs happening there, like don't go to Florida.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
Pretty much what happened.
If like bloody letters would have shown up on my mirror in my bathroom, that would have been the only more direct way I could have been told not to go.
So I'm like, so he was scheduled to leave on like Wednesday, and we're talking about the hurricane as it's approaching. When did I text you? Monday or Tuesday? I can't remember.
I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah. So we were talking about, because we also because they made such a big deal, they weren't even talking about Fort Myers in that area yet. They were talking Tampa. Mm-hmm. And we have family in Tampa, so of course we were talking about that. And then my brother lives in Hollywood Beach, but he's like down close to Miami. He was gonna feel some storm stuff, but he's also on the Atlantic side, so it wasn't gonna quote unquote hit him.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just talking through all of it, and then it hit me, and I was like, oh shit. I'm like, is it Fort Myers? Just a little bit, like, isn't that whole area, like, that's just a little bit south of Tampa?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and I looked at and then I texted you, I was like, are you still going to Florida? And you were like, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, up till Monday, the plan was still to go. And then finally on Tuesday, because originally they said it was going to hit Tampa, and then like Monday or Tuesday, then they corrected their prediction and said now it's going to hit south. Yeah, south, and that's right where we were going to be. And even if it did hit Tampa, like basically when they said it was going to make landfall was right when we would be driving like through Tampa to get south, So it's just like, no, we're not going. This is crazy. So yeah. So we missed out on that. So I got to spend an extra weekend here, and so now basically the double episode is not going to happen this week. It's going to happen next week. So yeah.
So the next episode that you guys hear from us will be the double episode instead.
Well, you say that.
I mean, who knows? Hij is like Javier right behind Ian. We don't know.
There could be locusts for all I know. Okay.
I mean, there was a pretty direct like sign from someplace. It was like, no, don't go there.
It was a biblical thing, without a doubt.
It's very biblical. And we seriously, we don't want to make light, because we know it was actually very devastating. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of destruction. So we're not making light of that. We're making light of his particular, very personal situation, not the actual hurricane itself.
Yes.
And I know we have some listeners in Florida. I hope everybody is okay. And I know you have family, I have family in Florida, so we're, everybody is on our end is fine. We certainly hope everybody on your end is fine as well. So.
Oh yeah, I think the worst thing we got damage wise was power was out. So I think we got off very lucky compared to some of the areas there that just got wiped out. So
God, yeah.
So that was great. So
yeah, same on my end too. So that's good. Good to hear. All right, so let's get into what we're actually here to talk about, which we weren't going to be talking about until next week, but here we are this week. So let's talk just before we get into descriptions and deep dives here. Let's just do quick thought on dislike.
Why don't you go first, ladies first, on the last mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead Forever.
Okay. Generally speaking, we talked right before we started recording. I would say I liked it. We both agree there are a couple of tiny nits to pick, which we'll get into in our details. I thought it was a great start, good action, good tension, good stakes. Nice to see them make an attempt to sort of show all of the characters in their locations, which was nice. But yeah, I thought it was a good start, and if things sort of grow from here, like in terms of ratcheting up, like exactly the same thing, action and tension and things like that. I think we're on track to do some pretty awesome things this portion of the season. So how about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I thought this episode was the pacing was great. It just it just zipped right along. I think they had the little bonus featurette afterwards. So when I first looked at it, I'm like, wow, 53 minutes. It's a long episode, and it actually wasn't. I think it was about 47 minutes long. But man, did it go by quick, and in a good way, quick. Like where you're like, oh wait, it's over. So I like that, and I agree with you. There were a couple little teeny things that I was just like, ugh, but again, overall did not detract from my enjoyment, and I think the big question that I have is the question that we all have, which is, how are they going to end it all? How are they going to wrap it up? Are they going to follow the comic book ending? Are they going to go some new direction? But more importantly, they've only got 8 episodes. How are they going to, and sadly, I'm like stuck in like fear mode where like you have 8 episodes and like the first 6, nothing happens. And then episode 7, they just vomit all this plot to kind of go, oh wait, we got to wrap it up soon. So I know that's not going to happen here, but it's like in my head, I'm like, no. But anyway, that's the big thing. I'm like, how are they gonna end this? What are they gonna do? How are they gonna set it up? And is it going to be what comic book people know or think they know, or are they is Angela Kang gonna pull a fast one and do something completely different?
I think that knowing the people that are involved and the kind of quality that they want and how dedicated they are to this show, I think that they are without a doubt going to stick the landing. I think that everything depends on where that landing's going to be. Like you said, like is it going to be some sort of new path that's just show relatable? Is it going to have pieces of the comic book ending? Is it going to be a direct pull from the comic books? I don't know.
All right, we gotta see.
But we'll have to wait and see. So let's move into our specific thoughts on the episode. Before we do that, let's just get a quick recap on what we were looking to expect in this episode with the episode description. Dave.
All right, so here we go. Wow, this is the last mid-season finale brought to you by we're ever going to do.
Mid-season premiere.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you meant to say.
Okay, so, well, this week's episode of The Walking Dead is being brought to you by Quasi Carol's Look at the Flowers Daycare. Are you looking for a place for your younglings to be while you try and survive this zombie apocalypse? Is finding a reliable babysitter getting harder and harder these days? Do you just need to drop your kids off with someone? Anyone? Well, look no further, because we have the answer. Quasi Carol's Look at the Flowers Daycare. With Crazy Carol, your kids will have a full and exciting day. Blueberry pancakes, coloring books, running from black operators in the middle of potentially violent street protests. And if your kids are very, very lucky, Carol herself will let them play the quiet game. So what are you waiting for? Get your kids into Crazy Carol's Look at the Flowers daycare and have a little adventure today, okay? So call now. Operators are standing by. Carol has a history of losing children under her care and will often shoot the crazy ones. Just thought you should know.
Oh,
Carol.
That Crazy Carol, you just can't trust her with the kids, and they always trust her with the kids.
They do.
Why?
And she has like the worst track record with children on this show.
She really do. She really do.
Yeah.
People seem to forget and you think their memories would be better when it comes to something as precious as children.
Yeah.
If it's something like, watch my dog or my cat, it's it is what it is. But small child, you're like, my memory is short.
Yeah.
Carol's good with kids,
Carol's
right?
good with kids, right? Yeah. Well, and I tried to I thought about working in a line about, she'll psychologically torture them like she did with Sam. And all that. But I'm just like, nope, just leave it the way it is. But she has that on her resume too. So yeah, not exactly like the person that you would think that everyone would be like, who would be great to take care of our children? Carol.
I love it. It's perfect. It's perfect.
It's awesome.
All right.
So now on to the actual episode description itself. It was, as you stated, it's The Walking Dead episode 11.17, Lockdown. And the description is, Daryl and Negan rush to the Commonwealth to stop Hornsby from going after their families. Pamela deals with protesters demanding justice for Sebastian's crimes. Mercer needs Rosita's help to fight a swarm. So basically, they just put 3 sentences together that don't really go together. How about that?
Yeah.
But that is your episode description.
And before we get into our points, I have my tiny nitpick is actually with that description. Hard to believe. I'm not sure it was clear. Did Daryl continue along to the Commonwealth with Negan? I'm not sure that was clear.
No, I don't believe that he did. No, because remember, he's in the sewer with the trap and the trap and the trap.
Yeah. I mean, he, if you only watched clips and you saw him driving around racing in a car, perhaps you thought that they both went together, but he kind of crashed into the other people to sort of be like, here, now you go, because no one's going after you.
No. I think that is just a AMC, intern who wrote that, not really aware of what the episode's about and was just going off of like the liner notes or something. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of generally what happened in the episode, but if you get to the specifics of that description, it's kind of shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just look at that sentence, because like you said, first of all, it says Daryl and Negan rush, and it's not. But then it's like, to stop Hornsby from going after their families. What family does Negan have there?
No, he doesn't have anybody at the Commonwealth.
Right. So
his family is safe. He's only helping because,
that's right.
He's missed the turnover a new leaf.
So there's a lot of inaccuracies with that opening sentence. And so, but whatever. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything is fine because we have 7 more to go. There's nothing to panic about, 7. People.
There's nothing to panic about. All right. Before we get into our details, let's talk first writer-director of the episode. You've got that info, and then we can sort of wax poetic about these two folks.
All right. Well, the writer of this little opus is a girl named Julie Ruckman, and she is a writer on the show, and she's written several episodes starting with season 10. And then in the long version of season 11, she wrote one other episode besides this one. So starting in season 10, she wrote episode 10.8, The World Before. And that is the episode that takes place right after Dante kills Sadiq. And so you have like the flashback of Dante meeting with Alpha, and you kind of get that's why he did it. And I think it ends with Rosie beating the living daylights out of him. Yeah. So that's that one, which was a pretty good one, I thought. And then she also wrote episode 10.11, which is called Morning Star, and she wrote that with Vivian C. And that's the one where the Whisperers burn the hilltop down with the tree sap.
Right.
And then she also wrote episode 10.15, which is The Tower, and she wrote that with Kevin Diebold, and that's the main group evacuate to the hospital building for kind of the final standoff against the Whisperers, and it is also the first episode that Princess appears in the show.
Oh, okay.
So she wrote that one, and then she wrote 10.20, which was entitled Splinter, and I believe that was one of those bonus stories that we got from season 10.
one of the COVID stories, yeah.
Yeah, and she also wrote this again with Vivian C., and that's out of all the bonus episodes, this was really the only one that did anything for the plot, because it's the one where Princess freaks out in the train car when they're being processed to get into the Commonwealth, if you remember that one.
Yeah.
You know, where she does all the weird stuff and it's all in her head and all that stuff. So, and then for season 11, she wrote the episode Promises Broken, and I think that was 11.8. I must forgot to write down which one it was, but it's where they're still fighting the Reapers, and it's where Negan teaches Maggie to be a Whisperer, to wear the mask and do the walk, and so they're still trying to get to Meridian and still trying to carry out we got to get the supplies mission from that portion of the first half of season 11, the first trimester, if you will. So she wrote that one, and then she wrote this one. This is the last one of The Walking Dead that she wrote. So,
okay.
And that is your writer, and then of course the director is no one else who you could possibly think of to direct the final mid-season premiere of the show, and that is Greg Nicotero. So of course we all know and love Greg. And
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with.
Not familiar with him? Really? Are you sure? Because met the dude.
That's the guy that told me to fuck off. That's right.
That's right. And he tells everybody to do that, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, no. I'm honored. I am honored.
We got to talk to him in 2 separate cities.
I know.
So yeah.
He doesn't know that, but I mean, he does, but he doesn't care.
He does.
But,
he doesn't care. Yeah. I mean, remember he sat like directly behind us at the bar.
That's right. Oh, that's right. So we shared space with him a couple of different times, but
so great.
We didn't actually. We only spoke with him twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and of course, we all know Greg. He's directed tons of episodes. Tends to direct season premieres and season finales and mid-season premieres and mid-season finales. Big episodes, important episodes. He has become kind of their go-to guy, and I think it's already been revealed he does direct the series finale as well.
Yeah.
And maybe he will do more in between as well. But so and he's great. I think he's proven to be, when it's a Nicotero joint, you can pretty much count that it's going to be pretty good, at least on this show. So
yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one that he did that I was
where you're like, oh, that was okay. You're pretty much like, wow.
Yeah, so. Exactly. All right. So let's get into the episode itself. I think I like the cold open. I thought it was very interesting because it was kind of like a catch up. Like, there's been lots of things like posted that are like, this is how we got here and whatever. And it was different because it was a little quicker than what has been being posted online these days, sort of like a retrospective of, the beginning all the way up to where we are now. This was a little shorter. It was probably only about 20 to 30 seconds. But it was very effective, and it's narrated by someone. We're not sure who. It sounds like a young girl, but on 2 times listening to it, that is not Kaylee Fleming's voice.
It is.
Is it really?
If you watch it with the subtitles, it says Judith.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah.
Because my theory was, is it Judith, or is it Endgame, the way the story plays out for the comics, which is, it is a story being read. So could it be a different child in the future? If it is Judith, I still say the same thing, which is the way that story is told, there's sort of like there's no conclusion. It sort of stops.
Right.
And then we join the current action. So I'm curious, like with that sort of narration, that cold open narration, are we going to then join back up with that and continue and like sort of finalize whatever that little speech is in a later episode? I'm not saying the finale, but maybe, you know, a different episode that is maybe right before the finale, or as this like sort of fight with the Commonwealth, maybe when it ends or something like that. I don't know, but I thought it was really cool, the whole narration of it. So what did you think of it?
What I thought was real interesting was that, you know, we got footage of Rick Grimes.
Oh yeah, of course everybody went nuts for that, I'm sure.
Yeah, you know, and then, you know, when she talks about how, you know, it was very close to everybody, you know, basically the world ending, and then she's like, but some people, you know, forged new families and fought on, and we get images of Rick and images of a lot of the group that is no longer there,
Yes.
no longer around. And then she goes into, but there were other people that went a different way, or whatever she says, and then they showed Shane.
Yep.
And they showed the governor.
Yep.
You know, and they showed Negan, which
too.
was interesting. That Negan, and then we got the shot of Beta when he comes out of the grave and he pulls both of the knives out, and then you get the shot of Alpha. So it was real interesting, a kind of a who's who there of the bad guys, and I just liked it because it was just, you know, to go that far back. To showing Shane and the governor, I thought that was interesting, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this show's ending.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's the ultimate in retrospectives.
Right. So yes, and I wonder if they're going to keep that up. I wonder if we're going to get a lot of,
Look back.
Well, and right away what happens, but Daryl brings up Glenn to Maggie.
Right. There's a callback right away. Yes.
And I'm just wondering if that's going to be it kind of peppered throughout all of these 8 episodes is, hey, you remember that time when, you know,
yeah.
You know, when what's his name was on the top of the camper with the gun, and then, you know, Carl didn't kill the walker and then he died, and, you know.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
Yeah.
Lots of looking back and retrospecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I was just gonna make a point about it too, and it went. Oh, I thought it was interesting that they made the choice to include Negan in the section where it was like, these are the villains. Like, other people chose a different path, you know, a more dark path, and it was like governor, this person, Negan, and then like from there, so it's like they're making that statement that like he may be who he is right now, but he was this thing.
Yeah.
In his heart, he probably still is this thing. He just keeps it tamped down these days a little better.
Yes.
So yeah, I thought it was a really interesting sort of like way to sort of reminisce for a moment before they even got started with like the meat of the episode.
Yeah, I did too. It was really, you know, again, and the fact that Judith is narrating it, like you said, what are we supposed to read from that? Is
right.
You know, is every episode going to be her at the beginning doing a little bit of that to kind of, again, as you said, suggest it's the kid reading from a book?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it could be. I mean, you know, the comic book endgame is that it's Carl doing that, and we can't have that. And
I don't know what's Chandler Riggs doing these days. Get him on the phone.
I mean, could we have Chandler Riggs do it? Sure, but he wouldn't actually be Carl. But he could. I don't know how they would do it. But
well, couldn't he be like the Jedi, you know, light version of Carl?
Or Carl. I mean, he could. I mean, and who knows? Maybe they could bring him on to just do like chatting, like, you know, some sort of like callback to, you know, maybe there's some scene we never saw where he's like, we should write it all down, we should tell the story or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, so that it references the future, but even though he may not be there to do it,
maybe there'll be time travel.
I mean, anything's possible, man. They'll do anything, man.
Look, just as long as they finally explain what the smoke monster is, I think everyone will be happy.
Yeah, that's totally true. I would say too, once they, they get into the action, and then we see, our whole group is sort of reunited again. Surprisingly, they bring Negan and Annie along, and we get them sort of reintroduced back into the group again. Maggie freaks out a little bit. Where's Herschel?
Where's Herschel?
Oh my God. But I thought it was interesting. As soon as they came up with the plan, when he's like, he hasn't seen your face, and it's clear they need to send Negan to the Commonwealth. That's the plan. And as soon as he splits from Annie, I'm like, that's it. That's her death. Because that's what's gonna. I'm not sure what the impulse is gonna be for Maggie in the end, but something's gonna happen to Annie, and that's gonna make Negan go scorched earth. And he's in, hell hath no fury kind of thing, and that's gonna do that, and then impel him to go away. Like, I can't be here anymore.
Yeah, but he has to go with Maggie.
Right. So what's going to be her thing? I think whether it's Annie dying or how she dies or who kills her or how he reacts to her dying, so they're setting up a really good motivation for him to leave. They're wrapping so much of his self and his happiness up in her right now, which means of course she's
toast.
She toast, man. But I still can't see the end game for how Maggie ends up with him. I really don't. But I'm still curious to see how they do that. But I immediately, as soon as he's like, I'll go, you stay, I was like, bye-bye, Annie. Not now, but soon.
So they finish that scene, and then like Angela Kang's like, okay, everyone, that's it for a wrap for Annie.
Yeah, we won't see her again. I mean, maybe a little bit, but she'll be a zombie then.
Yeah, maybe we'll see pieces of her.
Yeah. Yes. And then we get, like, there were a couple of really great zombie deaths, not zombies dying. I realized that when I wrote it out. I was like, it's not zombies dying, it's zombies killing humans.
Yes.
And one of them was as they were trying to, our group in the opening, they're trying to escape and also, put down Hornsby and his soldiers. So they are, taking out the Commonwealth soldiers sort of one at a time. But there's a scene where one of them gets attacked by the zombies, and he is, man, whew, that was a lot of blood.
Oh yeah, they. Again, the two knuckleheads should definitely watch this episode and just be reminded. Oh yeah, the ghouls can like rip people apart.
Yeah, like, ooh, and how. And what was great was they revisit that scene later when
Hornsby comes in
and he walks through, and you can see really quickly that because all you have to do is look for the helmet. So the helmet and the face is facing you, but it's just a skeleton, which means they ate
his face. Yeah, I know. It was great.
My God, that's awesome. So pretty good gore. There were two really good deaths. We'll get to the second one, but that was like right off the bat. So we had like cool narration. We got a little Rick. We got confirmation that Annie is done for because, separation. There's some great action sequences, blah, 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 really great ghoul death. And then boom, we get the credits.
Yeah. Well, and also there was a great Negan line, because when Negan shows up,
oh, yeah.
He looks at Maggie and Darrow. They're like, what are you doing here? And he's like, we're here to take out Shithead and the Dickless Brigade.
Which I thought was great. That's such great.
It's like only Negan, right?
It's funny. At home, I don't know when we started it, but somehow like we were disparaging someone, making fun of someone, and my wife was like, she made some comment where she was like, she called someone a numbnuts. She's like, numbnuts. She's like, that's a really good one. Like, that says a lot about someone. you're not technically swearing, so you can say it in mixed company and not offend anyone, whatever. And I'm like, it's just what I think of like now whenever I hear somebody using like another really good takedown line. I'm always just like, insert numbnuts here and see what it sounds like. You know, the numbnuts brigade.
And the
Yeah,
numbnuts
that works for
brigade.
me.
Yeah, there you go.
I like it. I like it. So it kind of brings us to the opening credits, which there's a lot packed into there. Did you catch all the new stuff in the opening credits? So there's a bunch of new things. There's a bunch of old stuff too. So it starts out pretty normal. And when it gets towards, you know, you get all the images that we've been used to the last like couple of seasons, you know, the tree with the crows and the crows fly away, and, you know, all the different images, you know, the pitchfork in the ground with, you know, dog in the background, and you get all these different things. And then you see an overhead image of the hilltop, and it's the hilltop, but it's they sort of pan out a little bit, and they show the banners, the Commonwealth banners, being thrown over the edges.
Yep.
To sort of show their kind of dominance, like that this is the new thing. And then they show like a big metropolis kind of area, which I would assume that's a big wide shot of the Commonwealth. Gives you an idea of sort of their size. And that was pretty interesting. And then what was cool was the last couple of seasons, they've done this interesting sort of spin around motif. And the last couple of seasons, it's been like, you know, a couple of ghouls, you get them face on, and then the camera spins around to show their backs, and they're sort of shambling towards, it's been the windmill from Alexandria for a bit. And then that changed, and they had like, you could see the back, and one of them was a whisperer. So, because you could see the knots on the back, the ties. And then there was some other stuff that they did the same thing with the ghouls approaching, but then when they spun around, it was this phalanx of the Commonwealth soldiers, and then there was like a red sun behind them, which I thought was really cool because we never get any kind of color. There's little bits in the beginning, like when it shows the crows sort of digging at the tree, it looks like they've got little bits of, you know, either blood or like maybe, you know, bits from like walkers or whatever. There's a little bit of red there, but this is a full on, like it's a red sun in the background. A lot of very cool sort of imagery that comes from that. And that was that. But what was cool was they also, as they got towards some of these new images, the music changed a bit too. So once you get towards that final moment, and the music is coming to sort of an end, there's like a guitar riff that's always been sort of behind the music. Well, they put it right out in front. So you could literally almost picture someone just like slam, like wailing on the guitar for like one chord, like swinging their arm like they're Pete Townsend, for crying out loud. And it's a really nice, like loud, like chord on the guitar. And it's different because it's a different sound that you're used to. And then the title card comes up, and it's very different. It's all white, no decay to it like it's been before. Right. And there's just one spot that just has like a wound, and it starts to bleed and drip blood.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, all of the like crumbling and, you know, sort of decay that they were kind of gradually doing to it has been replaced. Yeah, so... But, you know, hey, this is the final go-round, so they're, you know, what is AMC has coined it? It's the final 8 episodes, right? Isn't that what they're saying on all their social media and advertising and whatnot? So so why not? Why wouldn't you want to kind of change things up a little?
Sure.
I thought it was really interesting that Josh Hamilton is now in the opening credits. The gal who plays Pamela Milton is in the opening credit. You know what I mean? So a lot more of the actor. I mean, even people like Nadia Hilker and people like that are now in the opening. So like all of our main cast members are getting their name before or during the credits, not in the credits that will run over the show when they come back from that.
Yeah, post commercial credits.
Yeah,
if you will.
yeah. So
yeah, because that's a different type of billing. Yeah, it's like a different type of billing as an actor.
Sure.
And it's the difference between what do they call it? Series regulars and
guest stars or whatever.
Guest stars. Yeah.
So yeah,
for
and I
as
thought that was
starring.
pretty. I thought that was pretty cool. It's a nice little thing
Yeah,
to do for all those people to kind of give them that little bump for
yeah, for
the
the
last.
end.
Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, I
pretty
liked it.
groovy.
I thought it was cool because actually, um, that was a thing with Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones opening, if you never watched the series, the Game of Thrones title sequence was this big interactive sort of map that
Were
comes to life as they
were
go
there
through each
dice?
section. There were no dice.
Okay.
But as it would hit each town, it would like, spin and do these other things. It was very cool, very interactive. But as the seasons went on and they added new locations and whatever, you always wanted to watch that opening sequence with each new season, because then it'd be like, ooh, we're going to go to this area, or we're going to go to this area during this season. Because as they sort of expanded out, they would change that map and you'd see new things. And it would change. Like there was a whole section that was burned during one of the episodes. And from then on out, on the opening map thing, the place that it showed, it was smoking on the map. So it was very cool. They always updated it. So seeing like Hilltop and the Commonwealth added in and stuff like that, it would be, and since it was location based, as opposed to what we've been seeing before, been more like vignettes and stuff like that, and more like a bunch of different Easter eggs sort of smushed together into one little moment. This was like a definite, like, this is this place and this is this place. It had very Game of Thrones vibes to it, so I thought it was pretty cool. Anyway, so
Well, somebody
moving
had to.
on. Yeah, somebody had to do it. What else do we have to talk about here?
From that opening bit, I saw in the featurette that Angela Kang was quite happy and excited that they got to this. That was her first car chase in the Walking Dead show.
Oh, well, good for her.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the featurette. I don't know why I didn't. I just needed to it.
Was nice. They talked about that, and then she talked about the scene between Negan and Mercer.
Okay.
In the when they're in the like the interview room when you're going through the processing.
Yeah.
And Mercer has the soldier step out to get him some water, and then they kind of get down to brass tacks and all that. And she was just talking about how these are two guys that were really good at reading the room, and they immediately, both of them, realize obviously Negan's been told to ask for him, and so he has a little idea of what to expect, but Mercer kind of catches on real quick that Negan is he's a very, very sharp operator, and he's working with Daryl and all that stuff. And she really liked that scene and just said that was really great to see, give those two actors a chance to work together, which did you ever think that was going to happen?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So that was really nice. And the fact that it wasn't a shooting scene, it wasn't a combat scene, it wasn't outside, it was just the two of them sitting there getting a chance to act. And she really liked
kind of
that.
toe to toe, if you will.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I liked that. That was very cool.
So yeah.
So sort of the two great scenes that I thought were, well, first of all, in the one little quick moment, and I hope everybody caught it, but in the moment when Carol is asking Judith, oh, do you miss their cooking? Because she asks, like, when are Uncle Daryl and Uncle Aaron coming home? She's like, oh, do you miss their cooking? Because it was right after Carol had burned the pancakes. Yeah. So she asked, oh, do you miss their cooking? And she's like, no. And she made us a funny comment about Daryl. She's like, unless it's on a campfire, he doesn't know what he's doing. And then Gracie, little shit, she's like, my dad knows how to cook anything anywhere. It doesn't matter where he is or whatever. And I'm like, what a little shit.
Yeah, she was kind of like, you're like, you know what, shut the hell up.
And it's funny because I did watch the episode twice, and the first time through I was like, oh, well, I couldn't remember, like, right after that moment if Judith had said anything about Aaron. I knew she'd made the crack about Daryl, but I couldn't remember if there was something about Aaron first, and then maybe she said something about Daryl, and then she felt like she had to stick up for her dad. So with the second time through, I was like, oh, here it comes. And then, Carol makes her comment, And then Judith says no, but she doesn't expand on Aaron. She just mainly throws shade at Daryl.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Judith is like, not Judith, but Gracie has to feels like she has to. I can't tell. Is she sticking up for her dad, or is she just like boasting, like, oh, I have a dad who cooks for me and cares about me. You know what I mean? Like in a show-offy kind of way. Either way, I was like, you need to shut the fuck up, little kid. Like, oh
well,
my God.
I think Carol kind of invites that because she says, "Oh, you prefer your dad's cooking," and I took that to mean a plural dads, like do the two of you prefer your different individual dads cooking over me? And so Judith goes, "Are you kidding me, Daryl? If it's not on a fire, I don't know what all he's doing." And then Gracie just kind of, I think it didn't. I don't know. The read is questionable. I wonder if there were alternate takes of that where she just kind of said the line without that kind of smart-assy attitude that she gives it. Because you're right, it does come off as very boastful and be like, my dad is the best, And I wonder if there was one where Judith says, "Oh yeah, if it's not a campfire, he doesn't know what he's doing," and then she just goes, "My dad's pretty good cooking anywhere." But more of just answering Carol's question rather than being like, well, my daddy's the best, But you're right. Either way, it's like, that girl, she keep it up. She gonna get hit.
Yeah, we're gonna be hearing that whistle. Let me tell you, kid.
Kid, you know what? Get Gracie, get ready to start eyeballing those flowers.
Yeah. Because Carol doesn't deal with that kind of shit. Yep. She'll cut a kid before she deal with that kind of crap.
Carol don't play that game.
Yeah. Yeah. So then that was just a brief little moment there. Mm-hmm. But then the ensuing scene after the kids are hiding, etc., and then she makes Jerry leave with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry. I never once would feel like the kids were any kind of danger because Jerry would never let anything happen to the kids. But when the Black Ops dude like eyeballs Jerry and then starts following, like sees him and starts following, that was a tense scene. I was very nervous the whole time because, I don't know. Jerry's not in the comics. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past the show to sacrifice a child. And karma's a big deal. Gracie just made some smart ass comment. If she falls off if she gets shot, who knows? Anyway, my point is they go up this, this escape.
Fire escape.
Thank you. To sort of hide. And there's all this like hay and debris on there. And I'm like, oh God, they're totally going to knock some of it down. And he's just going to look up and I'm like, and that's exactly what happens. But he's at like sort of a vantage point where he can't see them. They're sort of leaned back far enough that he can't see that there's people up there. So they're fine. But oh my God, it was so tense. It was so tense. And it was such a simple little scene. Mm-hmm. I wasn't sure. Like, how did that whole scene strike you?
I wasn't quite as worried about it as you were. I mean, I kind of was like, they're not in any danger. It was well structured and it certainly was suspenseful, but no, deep down I was like, no, the kids are gonna be fine for right now. And just because, if you get an idea of how the sausage is made here. Yeah. They don't capture the kids in episode 1 out of 8. You know what I mean? It's like they capture the kids in episode 6 out of 8 so they can be rescued in episode 7 out. You know what I mean? So just the way that they would tell the story kind of told me that no, they're not going to get caught now. Right. Later on, then you can start to worry. But again, you're right. As soon as I think it was like pine needles and stuff that were on on the top of that fire escape, and as soon as you see it on the steps as they're going up, and I had the same thought. I'm like, oh, don't knock it. Oh, you did. You knocked it.
I was like Chekhov's pine needles. Of course they're gonna get. Why would you put them there?
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. So yeah, that was tense for me.
Mhm.
Obviously, it means I'm not nearly as cold and dead inside as you are. So
Hey, and proud of it.
Yeah. So I like your comment there about Negan, his WTF look.
Oh yeah, there's that great shot. It's at the 1730 mark, and it's like he's had his little conversation with Mercer, and
yeah.
and Mercer's like, I can't let you in. There's rules, and he's like, well, no one else is playing by the rules. Why should you? And then Mercer kind of was like, yeah. And so the next scene, Negan is like out and about inside the Commonwealth, and he's just. It's so great because he's like looking around and he's got this like, what the F is going on? I mean, just amazed at it because he's never been inside Commonwealth before this.
Yeah.
And so, he's seeing that, first of all, there are all kinds of people and they're in the middle of like a political protest, right? And the ice cream thing is still serving ice cream to everybody. And you know what I mean? He's just like, what the? I've been like eating like squirrel.
Yeah, no kidding. It's gotta be pretty shocking. He literally is having you can't even really describe it. It's like because he's been living outside. He did not come along with any of the folks that went to Commonwealth. No. And I'm sure he's heard stories about Commonwealth. They have all this stuff, but until you get there and see it, it's
right, until you see it. Yeah. It's like when Tom Hanks's character in Castaway finally comes back. And he's just amazed that he spends that whole first night just turning the light switch on and off.
Yeah.
Right?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just that whole thing, because he's just like, oh my God, you can turn the light and get light whenever you want just by turning the switch.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would liken it to his reaction to the crab legs.
Yes, right.
Or the click, the lighter.
The lighter, yeah, when he's like
long clicky lighter, and that's same.
Yeah, after he spent all that time trying to make a damn flame.
Yeah, exactly.
On the island. Yeah, so very similar. You're right, and you're absolutely right that it's like he's been told about it. So intellectually he knows, it's like a city from the before time, and they got electricity and toilets, and they have money, and you have to buy stuff, and you can get, and he's like, but again, until he actually sees it, it's you're right, it doesn't have that impact. So yeah, I love that scene. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one.
Yeah.
I wanted you to talk about it too because I was like, I think I know what scene he's talking about, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I've got one where I'm like, can we all agree, pretty much, and you've got one that's like, can we all agree?
Yeah.
I think we can kind of agree that in some way Pamela was responsible for the herd.
Oh yeah.
That's what that call was, is
B-14.
Yeah, the B-14 is like some sort of maneuver, and they round them up and send them in, and it's, you know what I mean? Like there's no way, because it was right after she was rushed out of the building. She knows, like, I have no other way of like fending this off. I need to get these people off the streets, and also thankful for the the security that we provide them.
Right.
And this is one of those moments. I need to bring them in. So I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I can't imagine. I'd be curious to see if there's anyone who thinks that she didn't do that.
Yeah, I don't think. I also think it would be hard to find someone that would be like, wow, what a weird coincidence that right when all this bad stuff's happening for her, the swarm, as they call it, shows up.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that when Rosie and Mercer go driving out in the Jeeps at the end, and she's like, Rosita's like, how did they get past the first two checkpoints? Because they're at like the third checkpoint.
Yeah.
Which is the closest to the city. Like the first checkpoint's way out there. Second one's a little closer, that kind of thing. And she's like, how did they get through all those? And he's like, somebody wasn't doing their job, which is like, no, someone was told to like just back off and let them go through. That's what happened.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Again, it's the, like you said, it's the way for Pamela Milton to get the protesters off the street without resorting to the Gestapo tactics.
Yes.
And busting up the protests. It's no, we're not getting you off the street because we don't want you to be doing what you're doing right now. It's because there's like a safety issue for everybody. See?
Yeah, we couldn't help this.
Yeah.
We of course want you to be able to protest and blah blah blah, but this is
And once this emergency is over, we will let you know when it's okay to come back out and protest.
Exactly. It'll be the 5th of never.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you've got a Can We All Agree, which I think we kind of have to all agree.
Well, yeah, there's a scene, and it's in the middle there, and it's where Yumiko is sitting, like, it's right before the lockdown starts, actually. It's Yumiko sitting on a bench with Magna. Yes. And they're having this talk about, Yumiko says, you know what, if things get bad, you and everyone else have to leave. And Magna makes this whole thing about, hey, if we go, we're all going because we don't leave people behind. And I'm just like watching this and I'm like, can we all just agree then that Luke is just gone?
Yeah, because they didn't mention him at all.
No, and no one has even brought up the fact of, like, where is he? What happened? I mean, nothing. Luke is gone, right? I mean, he had that last scene in the final episode in season 10 against the Whisperers when he was driving the sound car to lead the herd away, and we've never seen him again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think that I thought that scene, that was one of the nits that I picked where I'm like, it's like even Heath, at least there's like a probable explanation for him. He climbed over the bridge or jumped over the bridge, and it's just like, you know what? He didn't make it. He got eaten. Even though we didn't see it, that's probably what happened. With Luke, it's just like he just disappeared.
Yeah.
So
it's totally true. We just and there's no, I don't think we're ever gonna. I don't know if we're ever gonna see him again.
No, I mean, again, it would be nice, but I think it's too hard now because where has he been? Why didn't he come with them? And how did he get into the Commonwealth? Was he processed? You know what I mean? There's just, it's just like, you know what? Don't get me wrong. Me and too many characters. I'm always happy when they thin the herd down that way. But at the same time, it's like, well, don't just, pretend that they were never around. I mean, you got to at least write them off. At least have someone say, ever since Luke died, we're never leaving anyway. You know what I mean? Something, but
no, or like ever since, Luke, we were so upset when Luke left with that girl Kelly, and they, we haven't seen them since. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, that just kind of I kind of laughed out loud when Magna made this this great moment, and it was Nadia Hooker was great in it, but it just at the same time I'm like, really, are we really gonna take everyone with us when there's that one character that we just don't talk about anymore, really? So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, Luke's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
As far as we can tell, they haven't made any mention or any sort of nod or any wink about him at all. In fact, they someone brought it up in the feedback, and I'm sorry I'm going to jump to that, but they haven't, that's the one place they didn't show. Like, they did a good job, like I said, of touching on pretty much all of the characters, but they didn't go to the ocean side at all.
No.
So that was one of the last moments of the last episode was Hornsby flipping the coin, and then that was the episode, and that was the end. And then the very next thing, he's running around after Maggie and Negan, Maggie and
Daryl. Yeah.
So what happened at Oceanside?
Well, yeah. What was the outcome? Yeah.
Did they take everybody prisoner and bring them back to the Commonwealth? That'd be interesting to see.
Maybe they killed them all.
I don't know. I hope not. I mean, I don't know why I would care, but I'm just saying, like, that would suck.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and so, where is Virgil?
Yeah, I mean, they made such a big deal of showing that he came back and that he was, I mean, he was with Connie.
Was with
Shouldn't he be at Commonwealth?
See, again, I would agree with you. Yes, that's where he should be, but where is he? See, again, you know, they tried to include. I mean, they basically include the characters that they clearly want to tell their story with, and if some of these other ones are kind of not in that group, well, too bad, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's so moving on, another great moment while Negan was within the confines of the Commonwealth. He had that great Mercer moment. He
Mm-hmm.
had that great sort of stand there and marvel at holy hell, this place is crazy moment. But I think honestly, the moment when he and Carol found Sebastian,
Uh-huh.
and Sebastian says, "Do you know who I am?" And Negan gets a chance to say, "Do you know who I am?"
Yeah.
And I was like, that was probably the best response. Like, when he finds out who he said that to later on, I think it'll be really interesting to be like, yeah, his MO before was a bat wrapped in barbed wire.
Yeah.
Feel lucky that all he did was step on your hand.
Yeah, right.
And give you a little owie. Yeah,
Yeah,
I loved that scene. I laughed my ass off as soon as he was like, "Do you know who
Oh,
I am?"
I like that
I loved it.
when Sebastian's kind of like, I don't want to go, my mom doesn't want to see me, and he has that great speech of like, this woman over here is a magician. I've seen her pull little rabbits out of her ass. And Carol, they cut to Carol, and she kind of like rolls her eyes like, really? So I thought that was a fun little extension to that scene. But yeah. I mean, how about Sebastian? He's like living in this little like sealed in room, and he's like, you know, he has no bathroom, so he's like literally, like Negan says, he's peeing in jars.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Ugh. I'm sure that smelled really ripe when they went into
Oh,
that.
can't you just imagine? Just like, dude, you know, and
Yeah.
and he's like, you know, he's like the prince, right? He has money and influence and power, and here he is. This is what he's been, you know, resorted to, is he's living, you know, kind of like in squalor.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I I wanted to take a second too and also talk about the episode title, which I thought
Okay.
was really cool because I thought it's called Lockdown, and the
Mhm.
obvious thing is obviously Pamela locks down the Commonwealth, but I think you can interpret it a couple of different ways. I mean, Hornsby has the other communities on lockdown. Hornsby is like, you know, trying to hone in and, you know, sort of lock down Daryl and Maggie and get them out of the way. And I just thought it was a really interesting sort of, it's not all that common that they'll have something that's like multi-interpretive like that. It's usually a little bit more on the nose. And it
Mhm.
was this time, but I just thought it had some more applications than just the obvious Pamela one. So
Yeah, and I think too, doesn't at in the very beginning sequence, doesn't Hornsby tell all of the stormtroopers, or the what did Negan say, the clamshell assholes?
yeah.
Like he's issuing orders, and he's like, lock it all down. So he kind of says lockdown too, I think,
Yeah.
if I'm remembering his line correctly.
Sounds
But
right.
but yeah, I mean, clearly there are multiple lockdowns going on in this episode with everybody. You know, they're all going through it in some way, in terms of kind of battening down the hatches, getting ready to weather the storm. You know, however you want to interpret it. But yeah, I think it's definitely, you know, the obvious one is the Commonwealth one, but there are many other instances where you can read that into what's going on. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got a couple of great points there. Let's bang through those. You got some good
Okay.
stuff.
Well, and like I was able to tease everyone a few weeks ago when I was at this Stephen King festival at the Music Box Theater in Chicago, and they showed Creepshow. They brought in Greg Nicotero to kind of do a little Q&A after the movie, and he dropped this little bomb of, in the final 8 episodes, there are a lot of ghouls that are going to be nods to famous like serial killer and movie monster characters. And he told us that in this very first episode, Daryl kills a Freddy Krueger ghoul. And so everyone was like, ooh, and wow, this is going to be fun. And so I was on the lookout for it. And it's at the 31-minute, 26-second mark when they're in the sewer. There is a Freddy Krueger ghoul that walks up and Daryl, guts him with the knife in the head or whatever. And he's not wearing the sweater, but his face is burned like Freddy's and is hairless and so on. I mean, it's very obvious. You're like, yep, that was Freddy Krueger. So if you did miss it, if it went by real quick, and it's not a long scene, it's not like they linger on it. But again, the 31-minute, 26-second mark of the episode is when it happens. So that's the first one. Now we'll have to see. Is there going to be one in every episode, or is it just going to kind of be peppered throughout? And Greg did not go into detail about any of the other ones. He just started us off with this one. So everybody keep your eyes open because we want to make sure we can get them all.
Yeah. And also keep your eyes open for, Greg will also insert himself as a ghoul at some point in most of the episodes. And I would assume he would want to do it as we're, gearing up towards the final run.
Sure.
So I didn't spy him in this episode, but obviously we've got some more ghoul action to come. So, it's very likely that he would insert himself in a prominent face ghoul there. So we'll, keep your eyes open for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well. So yeah, cool.
Then you kind of touched on it at the beginning that when the episode opens, we get the really, really gory, gnarly stormtrooper death.
Yep.
Out when the stormtroopers are chasing after Daryl and Negan and so on at the beginning, and then they kind of bookend the episode because it opens with that, and then as we get near the very end, there is another awesome, gory, gnarly stormtrooper death, and this is again where Mercer and Rosie are in the Jeep, and the other Jeeps are kind of driving up to the herd, and they're kind of, one veers off to the left, the other one goes to the right, and they're gonna, try and lead them away or shoot them or run them over. They don't really show you what they're doing; they're just doing it. And Rosita and Mercer are having this great talk about, I can trust you. I need you to help me. And Rosita's like, my family comes first. And then Mercer, I thought this was really interesting that Mercer basically tells her point blank, if you decide you want to split, I will help you.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting coming from him.
Yeah, I did too. So that was, but then they get interrupted because over the radio, someone goes, oh, one of the Jeeps tipped over. It's like, oh, darn. Isn't that always the thing, right?
Yeah.
And so they go racing off to help the two guys in the Jeep who get out and start trying to shoot the ghouls. Again, rather than just running away like a normal person, they're like, no, there's 100 ghouls, but okay, let's shoot some of them, And so they're trying to do that, and then the other Jeep with Mercer and Rosie pulls up, and Rosita gets on the M60 that's mounted on the Jeep and is shooting that. And one of the guys jumps in the Jeep, and the other guy tries to, but he gets grabbed by a bunch of ghouls, and then Mercer and the ghouls play tug of war with the stormtrooper, and they literally rip him in two pieces. And it was just bloody, disgusting, awful, intestines everywhere. And it was really, really cool. And wonderful. And what makes for me one of, I always love it when, they go above and beyond and just let's just gross out as many people as we can. So I thought that was really cool.
It was really well done. I thought it was great too, because it was, obviously it was very bloody. It was very disgusting. It was shocking too, because here's Mercer hanging on, not letting go. He won't let go, even when it's clear that the guy's gone. He's totally gone. And Mercer's almost in a moment of shock. And he just can't stop hanging on. And they finally are like, we have to go. They had to almost revive him, like shake him awake, just be like, we gotta go.
Yeah. The trooper's like, sir, we gotta go. Because it's like they're gonna like decide to eat us soon. So come on.
I wanted to talk a little bit. I knew when we would talk about this death that there's some people talking online, and there is an episode that comes up in 2 weeks. The title of the episode is called Variant, and we have heard people make some comments that are involved with the production about how, we did tease, and this is the World Beyond. They teased the faster zombie, that there are the variants out there. And these zombies felt very, we're 10 years in now, at least. And it's like, they were kind of fast. The ones that overtook the soldier in the very beginning, you could chalk that up to they were very close by to them.
Yeah.
But in this one, the guy was like shooting at them to get them to, he's trying to until they could come rescue him. He was shooting at the ones that were closest to him and trying to take him out, and they were moving faster than that. And they got to him really quick. I still don't understand why he didn't, run a little bit or back up.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing. It's like, dude, why for both of them? It's like, get the hell away from there.
Yeah, like I had to abandon my post because, I will keep shooting at them, but I'm going to back up while I do it. There is no stand still. There's nothing to stand. There's all kinds of ground behind you.
Right.
Use it. But anyway,
what you do is you egress towards the oncoming Jeep because that's the way to survive.
Exactly. So I think that scene was there to sort of let us know that there's now these faster, like they're faster, they were hungrier, they really tore him apart quickly.
They went after that guy like he was a piñata.
Yeah. And it was gross, but like if you look at the detailing of it, like it felt more frenzied than it has been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
It felt quicker, like they got to him quicker. I don't know. Did you notice any changes, or am I just seeing things?
I hate to go this way, but yeah, I think you're kind of seeing more into it than was really there. Because that guy, he let a couple of the ghouls kind of get around to the sides of him. So then when he turned around to try and get in the Jeep, they were able to grab him. But I never got the sense that they were moving faster than the way we have seen the ghouls move on this show so far. So I think it just emphasized something I think that we have all known about the Romero modern zombies, and that is individually they're comical. They're slow, they're uncoordinated, they stumble around. But if you encounter a whole bunch of them, you could be, they can kill you. And it doesn't take much. And that's kind of what they kind of reemphasize there, that even with all that stormtrooper armor, once they grabbed a hold of him, they ripped open his back and then they just, pulled his legs apart from his top. And it was awesome. But I did not get the sense necessarily that they were quicker or more, frenzied or angry or whatever. So I think we're going to see them because of like you said, that episode title, but I did not get the sense that, we're starting to see them now.
Okay.
So sorry to poop on the parade there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, that'll wrap it up.
That's fine, folks. I think I'm just, agree to disagree. I feel like I saw some quickness there. It felt quicker than normal. So, but it remains to be seen. It could just be nothing. Yeah. It could have been like faster, and then we won't see any outcome of that. It may have nothing to do with nothing. So
yeah, again, I have rarely been right on this show. I think the only time I've ever made a prediction that was correct was when I said that Huck was what's her name's daughter. I think that was the only prediction that I've ever made that turned out to be correct.
Oh yeah. I was like, Huck was what's her name's daughter. I'm like, who's Huck? Got it.
Yeah, from World Beyond. You know,
Yeah, I got it.
Juliette Binoche's daughter, right?
Yeah.
That was it. Other than that, no, I'm you know, just like everyone else, kind of like going, huh? So yeah, and you know, maybe you're right, and the fact that episode is coming up, clearly maybe they're priming the pump here, and then now we are seeing, you know, and maybe next week we'll get some dialogue about, you know, man, these ghouls seem pretty randy compared to the normal ones, and then maybe someone will be like, yeah, we've been noticing them like this more and more now. Oh, okay, you know, who knows what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
So, but just to me, my normal, when I watched it, and I did watch this episode twice as well, it didn't jump out at me that they were, you know, moving much faster than the kind of the slow walk, you know, that they have always, you know, kind of varied walked on the history of the show so far. You know, some people, the actors, some people move quicker than others, and again, that's okay as long as they're not running, right? Although, doesn't Greg Nicotero always say in the very first episode when Rick's in Atlanta, the ghouls run?
Yeah.
So again, we have, if you want to take that, if that's true, and I don't remember, I have to go back and rewatch it, then we've already seen variants from the very beginning. Who knew, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We got one last line there that you included, which I thought was really great, and I want to.
Oh yeah, well, and this
to that.
Yeah, this is just one of my nits to pick, and it's not on this show. This is something that happens on shows all the time, and it always bothers me. And there's a scene between Yumiko and Pamela, and it's like Yumiko comes in and says, like, you tear gas my friends, you know, and this is after they clear the square from like the midnight vigil that the people are doing for the people that died, right? And they got the candles, and then the stormtroopers show up and they end up throwing the tear gas, right? You remember that scene? And so that's after that. So Yumiko goes in and she's kind of getting in Pamela's face, and you know, Pamela's like, it was for safety. That's what we do everything. And Yumiko's like, look, you know, I might have to defend you, so I need to know what you know about Sebastian. And Pamela comes back at her like, how can I talk to my lawyer freely when she's also friends with the most prominent journalist around? And I'm like, okay, Connie's like been in the Commonwealth for like a month, right? How is it that she is the most prominent? It's like, you know, even if quantitatively they were to like take a test on like who's the best journalist and she would score the highest, there have to be people that have been writing for the paper for years at this place that are way more prominent than her, you know? And this is just a thing that happens on all these shows, that it's just a thing to do where somehow all of our people, or a lot of our people, most of our people, mostly. They've somehow gotten extremely high positions in this place, even though they're like literally like, hi, I just showed up.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I get it. It's the story. You know, you don't have time to introduce new people that would actually be in those positions. So I understand, but it always rubs me the wrong way. Did that line stick out to you where you're like, really? She's the most prominent journalist, or is it just me?
It did, but in a different way, because I was looking at it with like real world political implications. Like I felt like they were, I don't think they were making overt, but I think they were like, haha, see? You know, there's a distrust between politicians and the media. Da, 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 and we have the same thing in the apocalypse. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
It's literally like it's practically a handwritten, you know, they type on a typewriter to do this like newspaper. It's like 2 sheets long. You know, the number one thing they're talking about on this you know, the news is they're talking about like harvests and things like that, and like parties, and you know, the
ice cream for the month, the flavor for the month, and stuff like that.
For the month, for sure. So so I just saw it as like they were trying to make it more politically like, oh my god, shocking, like pearl clutching.
It's just like real life.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, and also I just want to point out, before we get all the angry tweets and emails, I am completely aware that Pamela was interviewed by Connie in the before time, right?
Yeah.
They talked about that, and so when she's saying that, maybe she's referring to back when the world existed, Connie was a big deal or whatever. I again, the context of it, in the way she said it and what's going on in the scene, it just totally, I'm like, no, she's not.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was like the only moment of the episode that just hit me wrong, where I'm like, okay, did you have to do that?
It would have read easier if she just said, you're also friends with
someone in the newspaper.
Yeah, someone on the newspaper, or someone is, an up and coming staff, on the
something
or whatever, looking to make a name for themselves or whatever. Yeah. That would have been more interesting, I think. Yeah. What were did we hit anything that was like my nits to pick? Was mine. Mine was the guy didn't back up when the ghouls were coming towards him.
Yeah.
What was the other thing that I should have written it down, but I forget. I'll bring it up, I'm sure.
Right.
I can't remember what it was. Anything else that we need to make sure we discuss before we go ahead and take our break?
I don't think so. I think I hit out everything that I wanted to hit. So, again, I think, like I said, I thought the episode was really good. It was great pacing. It moved quickly. There was some great action in it. There was definitely suspense with the kids, although I was really not super worried, but it was still a very tense scene the way they shot it. So again, I think Nicotero did a great job as the director in keeping things moving and interesting. And I thought the writing for the most part was pretty good, considering, there's like, hey, we're in wrap it up mode, so let's start wrapping it up.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't feel rushed, okay, we're, tapping the watch like we've only got so many more episodes.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like that at all. It felt like they were, setting a pace, and they're gonna, maybe it'll get ramped up over the next few episodes as they hit towards a conclusion, but it didn't feel, it felt good pace for setting, like, maybe a faster pace next episode, and then they'll ratchet up the episode after that. It felt doable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Other than the, what happened to the Oceanside people, where clearly that was a jump from where they ended to where they started. Something happened, and we haven't been told what that is. Other than that, I agree with you that they really, nothing felt like, oh, wait, what happened to these people? So. Yeah, good stuff.
All right, good. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss our listener feedback, and we're going to discuss what's coming up on the podcast.
So stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey there, Internet. Do you like scary movies? What about going way off the rails while discussing your favorites, like Nightmare on Elm Street?
Can you all hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you look
Can you
fine.
see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you okay, Summer?
Tell us what you're seeing.
Friday the 13th. She's like, you're driving this whole thing, so it's like you're either gonna steer us to safety or you're gonna careen us all up to our death.
Either way, I'm fine
I can see
with
Summer
it.
doing a barrel roll out of a car now.
I know. Down a cliff, down some fields.
Halloween.
Exactly. Tom. And that mustache and that butt.
Oh my god.
And more. Trust me when I say that there's no movie that we can't derail right off the cliff. So come check out the Dolls of Horror podcast with your hosts, Girl on Gore Jamie and Summer of Fear. And me, producer Jesse, as we tackle all the horror movies, both new and old, and hopefully give you a laugh or two along the way. The Dolls of Horror is available on all podcast streaming services, including Apple and Spotify. Visit thedollsofhorror.com for more information.
The following is an emergency action message. Civil authorities have identified a biological threat that they deem credible. This threat could potentially affect the entire continental United States.
The dead are returning to life and attacking the living.
911, what's your emergency?
There's a man up bad and he's attacking another man. Looks like he's biting him, like on the arm.
The initial signs are puzzling, unclear.
Getting pulled out of their cars and thrown to the ground. It looks like the bus passengers are biting their victims.
Soon, however, the reality is clear and undeniable.
The crisis involving the recently dead continues. Parliament today passed a law that requires all bodies of the recently deceased to be registered and turned
Toxic
over.
Bag Productions has captured the sounds of the zombie apocalypse and brought them to your gaming table. Background ambiences, zombie attacks, and radio transmissions that set the scene for your modern zombie adventure. Download MP3s from DriveThruRPG.com or ToxicBag.com.
Hey there, this is Greg Nicotero, and you're listening to Aim for the Head podcast with Diana and Steve. And don't forget to always aim for the head, because body shots, they really just don't work.
Hey everybody, we are back. We thought it was apropos to have some words of wisdom from Mr. Nicotero since he was our director of this episode. So thanks again, Mr. Nicotero.
Oh yeah. And now we're gonna go fork off.
Yeah, and yes, please, go fuck off. So let's jump into some feedback. We got some nice feedback this week. Thanks, guys. It's nice to get sort of back into the swing of things with, episodes that we want to talk about again. So,
yay!
Yeah, we do. Not everybody watched the anthology series. I thought it was good. So we'll have to. It remains to be seen. But obviously we didn't get any feedback during Fear because why?
Yeah, no.
Why would you? So
the only feedback we get is like, wow, you're actually watching this show?
What is wrong with you? So it's been a good 6 months since we've heard from some people, and I totally get it, and so it's great. Thanks, guys, for everybody that wrote in this week. Hopefully it'll keep coming in every week. So
yeah,
all right.
Let's hope so.
So let's get started. Steve, why don't you go ahead and take that first one there?
All right. Our first piece of feedback comes from our listener, Alma Contreras. Hello, Alma.
Hello.
And she placed this via the Facebook, and she says, I thought it started with gangbusters. Freaking Hornsby has totally come unhinged. I was not expecting for him to have gotten imprisoned so soon, but hey, I'll take it, LOL. And then she goes, and can we talk about my boy, Mother effin' Negan? He has really become one of my faves. I was hoping the show would not waste any time getting into the action, and boy, did they deliver in this episode. Look forward to hearing the cast. Oh, that's so nice. Alma, I think we're right there with you. I think the action, the pacing, everything about this episode was great, and it grabbed you right from the beginning, and it didn't let go. And like we were saying, it when it was over, it's one of those times where you're like, oh wait, it's over.
Yeah. So, isn't that great?
That's the best. That is the best TV or film experience where when it gets done, you're disappointed that it's over.
Yeah. Agreed. Excellent. Thanks so much, Alma. Thanks for writing in.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Next up, we have an entry from our international desk, coming straight from the UK. Our pal Bev wrote in via Facebook. Hey, Bev.
Hello, Bev.
I'm glad you're getting the episodes in a timely fashion, so that's great. So you'll be able to give feedback within the week that the episode. I know we had issues with, was it Fear or the Tales? We'd get them sort of for the episode the last week.
I think it was Fear. Yeah, I think it was Fear that like we would record and they hadn't even seen the episode yet.
Yeah, which is great because it was sort of like holding off your pain. Like we got to experience the pain first for you, and then it was sort of maybe it lessened your pain since you got to see it late in the UK. But anyway, that's another topic entirely. Now we're talking about good stuff. So Bev wrote in via Facebook, and she says, "What an amazing episode! So many different threads covering the entire gang. It didn't hang about and really kept the plot moving. My husband is not easily impressed, but as soon as the credits rolled, he said, 'What a good episode.'" Oh, look at that.
Ooh, how about that?
It reminded me of the early seasons. Can't wait until next week. I agree. Good stuff. Thanks for writing in, Bev. As always.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, moving along, our next piece of feedback comes from Karen. I'm not related to Lauren Cohen. And this is via the Facebook, and I love this feedback, Karen. I think it's so funny. So well done. I'm just going to put that up front. She goes, I guess I should just forget about Oceanside. Everyone else has. She goes, didn't we leave off with a coin flip? Which is what you mentioned, Diana, that yes, we did. And they just
I stole it from Karen. I would give absolute props. Yep. I forgot we did leave off with the coin flip, and she remembered.
And it just basically, we just fast forwarded past all that stuff, Karen. It's just nope. And then she goes, who cares about Rachel? Or any of the other unmemorable characters who live there?
I mean, basically, they're, for all intents and purposes, they're dead.
They are.
I mean, they're dead to us, basically.
They're dead in terms of the story. Yeah. She then goes on to say, is Mercer really going to just hang on to a guy who's being ripped apart?
Apparently.
Apparently, yeah. He's that focused. I don't know. And then they didn't kill anyone, she says.
Yeah, that I was surprised. I really thought they'd start to ramp up with at least one death. Character.
I really thought, you know what, maybe this is the time, when Ezekiel or someone like that, who has no comic plot armor, no future series plot armor, to protect them, just to kind of basically say, hey, guess what? It's the last 8 episodes. You know what I mean? I was right there with you in that same thing. But you're right, Karen, they didn't kill anybody, not yet. And then this is interesting. We didn't really talk about this, and I kind of noticed this too. And I should have brought it up. I didn't. I wrote it down, or I typed it into my notes, and then I deleted it at one point. But it's Jerry's response to seeing Negan was ridiculous, is what you said, Karen. And it did kind of rub me wrong too, that he was just like, hey, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And it's like, this Negan, a lot of these people don't like Negan.
Yeah, he's polarizing character.
Yeah,
in the very least.
Right. And Jerry was pretty chillaxed about seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
Now again, a lot going on. Right.
Yes.
There's the protests. They're trying to get the kids to a safe place, all that stuff. So Jerry maybe didn't have time, but still, I agree with you, Karen, that was definitely. It was unusual and maybe didn't necessarily ring true to Jerry's character, but whatever. I'll give him a pass on this one because the rest of the episode was really, really amazeballs. Then she goes on to say, give us Princess. And I agree. I was a little disappointed we didn't see Princess or Eugene in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they doing? Where are they? Why are they not involved with everyone else? We don't know. And then she goes, give me something to talk about. So amazing feedback, Karen. Funny, and yet at the same time, you've raised a lot of good points. And so thank you so much for contributing. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks again, Karen. Thanks for writing in. And having that, we can't be afraid to see the negativity in an episode. That's for sure.
No.
If something doesn't work, you got to call it out. That's for sure.
Yep.
All right, so next up, we got an email from our pal Amelia from the Pitney and Amelia Bitchin' Boutique podcast. Hey, Amelia.
Hello, Amelia.
I love it because the title of the title line of the email from her just says, "Oh my God, it begins." And it's all in caps. So
awesome.
Obviously, there's a lot of emotion for Amelia right now, and I feel you, Amelia. I really do. I do. So
Amelia, you made a rhyme.
I did. I feel you, Amelia. So Amelia says, my husband and I watched the first 2. Ooh, so I have to be careful as I write this. Yes, beware spoilers, people. For the episodes are out on the AMC Plus a week early.
They are.
She says, I'm going to write 2 separate emails. Oh, good. So I can hit send sooner. She says, I may never stop squeeing, honestly. That was one hell of a kickoff for sliding into home base. Look at me making and mixing sports references as if I know a damn thing about sports.
Sports ball.
I know the sports ball. So much happened in this first 11C episode that going back to check what happened in which episode blew my mind again. I don't want to just run my mouth. Hands? forever. I get it because you're typing. Good job. Good job. Well done. Forever, because I could praise every second of it. So I'll just say I loved it all, and it made me excited for the end in a way I wasn't expecting. I kind of agree with that. That makes a lot of sense. She goes on to say, yeah, I'm sad, but I'm legit thrilled to see everything they're giving us. And y'all know I perked up extra when my Neegs dropped the F-bomb, which is true. He did. Yeah. Little F-bomb for the Negan. And she says, and in case you didn't mention it yet on your show, did you see The Talking Dead? They showed there was a blink and you'll miss him Freddy Krueger walker in this episode, and Nicotero says there's going to be a Jason, a Leatherface, etc. coming up. I'm stoked. Now that is exciting because we didn't see Talking Dead. I didn't watch it because I was tie-tie and I went to sleep. But now I want to watch it, and I was going to watch anyway. But Steve related earlier when he was talking about the Freddy Krueger thing that Nicotero talked about that. But did he mention the Jason and the Leatherface stuff?
He did not. He did not go into specifics. Freddy. He just said Freddy, and he said that the whole season was going to have famous movie monster serial killer as ghouls, but he didn't go into specifics. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. But he said, but if he said in specifics, Jason and Leatherface, etc. Ooh, that's exciting. So
Michael Myers, maybe Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, it could be fun.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was squeeing.
I think we're both squeeing right now. Yes.
She says, okay, so she says, I'm stoked, and then says, okay, I'm shutting up. Off to start the next email. Bye. Thank you for the heads up. I will not read your email right away. I will once I watch the episode, but I have to lock down my brain. I cannot watch the episodes more than one at a time because I feel like it will filter into my feedback. So
yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah, it's been available since yesterday, but I can't until we're finished recording because I know it would color my color commentary, and I don't want to overcolor is what I'm saying. So,
that's right. Overcolorization is never good.
Yeah, I'm already pretty blue, so I mean I shouldn't add to that.
So you don't want to become ochre.
No, not at all. We did mention at the beginning of the podcast that there will be no new episode next week. So in case you missed that or you forwarded through our little jibber jabber at the beginning, we were supposed to not record this week and do a double episode next week. Steve was going to Florida. That has been postponed. Hello, Hurricane. In case
Hurricane Ian. Yeah.
So we will not have a new episode next week for episode 18, but we will do a new episode the following week, and we will cover both episode 18 and episode 19. But I will be still putting out posts to look for your feedback. Obviously, like Amelia did, you can just send emails in advance. Once you see the episode, just go ahead and do it. But put spoilers on them if it's early, like really early. Yeah. But either way, yes, we will still be gathering feedback for both the episodes, and when we record in 2 weeks, we will share all of your feedback that you send. So
absolutely,
so keep it coming. So coming up for the show itself, next week's episode title is A New Deal. The details that AMC has given us is Carol makes a deal with Pamela to wipe the slate clean on behalf of her friends. Aaron, Jerry, Lydia, and Elijah get on the road to Oceanside to fill them in on a plan. The Commonwealth celebrates Founders Day, which that's interesting. So yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say the scenes for next week, which we did get at the end of the episode here. They it's kind of implied at the end of the episode when Carol delivers Sebastian to Pamela, and Pamela's like, "And who exactly are you?" And she says, "I work with Hornsby, and he's out hunting my friends right now under your flag." And Pamela's like, "And that affects me how?" And she said, "Well, if Sebastian didn't do all this terrible stuff, somebody did."
Yep.
Certainly implying that, hey, let's just hang this all around Hornsby's neck, and you kind of see that happening, you know, where Pamela tells Hornsby that you were never playing, you're trying to play a game you were never involved in, and then at the very end, Hornsby said, "Oh, I'm playing the game all right." or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to get a lot more of that storyline going. And just by the description there, Carol makes a deal with Pamela to wipe the slate clean. I think that's gonna involve that Hornsby's going to be set up for all this to be the fall guy. And we were just kind of bitching about Oceanside. Maybe the group going to Oceanside will finally get resolution on what happened with the coin flip.
Yeah, and Luke and Virgil and whoever the hell else we haven't seen their faces for
all the unmemorable characters who live there.
And here's the thing: do we need to see their faces? No. But could we at least get Virgil is fishing up the coast. Luke and Kelly. Her name was Kelly, right? I think.
I don't know.
The chick was. We're gonna say Kelly, but I don't think
Kelly
that's the
Kapowski.
Right name. Whatever. But they could be like, Virgil is fishing to the north, and Luke and his gal are fishing to the south. They're not here right now. But fine, that's fine. Just explanation, please, would be great.
Luke is at Hogwarts.
Yeah, he married some gal who can do magic, and he's a muggle. So
he's a muggle,
having a hard
right?
time.
But he's dealing with fantastic beasts.
He is. So there were some clips at the end of the episode, which were great. I'm sure there were some sneak peeks, at least one on Talking Dead, which I did not see.
Mm-hmm. I'll see it on Thursday.
There's that. Yeah, I'll see it when I watch the episode. Man, I was just too tired last night. And Talking Dead is on late because of Interview with the Vampire.
That's right.
AMC. Anyway. I'm gonna watch it anyway, so if you could just put it I'm not gonna watch it right now, just put it on at 10 o'clock and put Talking Dead on right after the show. Anyway, it makes no sense to me to do a show that's a post-show discussion and you don't put it on post-show.
Oh, they're giving everyone a chance to watch the episode again.
No, that's not why they're doing that. They're trailing all of their watchers into Interview with the Vampire.
Yep. And they probably like one of the commercial breaks for Interview, they have like some Walking Dead extended scene or something.
Oh God.
Because again, please. More reason to make you watch it.
No, listen. I got an Into the Badlands sized like bone to pick with you, AMC. No thanks. Okay, so that's episode 18, and then the week after, the title of episode 19, as we discussed earlier, is called Variant. There's no description yet on the episode, but are they teasing Walker variants? Are they teasing variants of like different types of governing and whatever? Who the hell knows? Right. Is it something minor or is it something major like the ghoul variants that we've been hearing people talk about? Hard to know because we don't have a description, but there you go. Mm-hmm. And I shared via our social media, and hopefully you've seen it, but for the first few episodes, AMC has put out a schedule of how the episodes will be released on AMC Plus. Mm-hmm. So both episode 17 and 18 were released on AMC Plus yesterday.
Yes.
So they didn't give the premiere to people a week early. They gave it to them the same day. And then the episode for next week is a week early. And then next week's episode will be a week early, et cetera, et cetera. But they only gave us that information for episodes, the first four, 17, 18, 19, 20. And they haven't gone beyond that. So hopefully we'll get some more information on that soon. That way we'll know. We have already discussed, like, if we're not going to get the finale on the same day, you know what I mean? Like a week in advance, like maybe they'll release it on AMC Plus same day so that they can sort of tamp down on spoilers as best as they possibly can. So it's hard to say. There's no schedule for that just yet, so we can't. It's all conjecture at this point. There was a nice promo that played during the TV broadcast. Hopefully people caught it. It's kind of all over the internet. They did like a promo of all the stuff coming in 2023, and they literally were like, Maggie and Negan, what are they calling this thing now? Death City or something like that?
Yeah, City of the Dead or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Dead City or something. No longer Isle of the Dead.
Yeah.
So Maggie Negan and then Daryl Dixon. And then they showed like in behind where it says Daryl Dixon, there's the Eiffel Tower. So obviously, clearly we're going to Europe. And then Rick and Michonne.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said Fear the Walking Dead too, but nobody cares about that.
Nobody cares.
So Maggie Negan, Daryl Dixon, and Rick and Michonne. We have no idea what order those will be in. They basically just said like 2023 for everything except Fear, which said spring 2023. So I would assume that they would sort of bookend Fear with like some interesting stuff. I would assume we're not going to see Rick and Michonne until the far end of 2023. Because they're going to want to tease people with that all year round.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get, and not only that, but when they talked about this at Comic-Con, Andrew Lincoln even said, I'll see you back here in a year and we'll have a lot more to talk about. So
there you go.
He either meant we'll have already seen episodes by then, or we'll have a lot more to promo then. We'll have like some images or some things to give you or some more background or whatever. So yeah, I'm not expecting to see anything of the Rick and Michonne stuff until the far end of the year. So yeah. All right, what else is going on in the world? Well, I don't know if you're aware, but it's October, and if you're interested in doing any kind of binging of Halloween movies and scary and horror movies, OMG, is that everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I've got friends online that are doing, 31 horror movies for the month. People are releasing all their like favorite lists of horror movies during the month of October. I think, is AMC doing something? I know Shudder is doing stuff, obviously.
Both of them are. Hulu has one, Netflix has one. I mean, all your streaming services, all of your channels have some sort of collection of what they consider to be, good horror movies to watch. And so there are plenty of avenues out there to see the old classics, all of the Halloweens and the Friday the 13th and the Freddy's Nightmares and so on, but also a lot of other movies as well that maybe you didn't see, you haven't seen, you're not familiar with. So it's definitely a chance if you're in a horror kind of mood, and in October, why wouldn't you be, to check it out. So yeah, absolutely. Shudder has a good one. AMC's is okay. They've been doing it for a long time now. The Hulu one was kind of as far as I was concerned, but at least like Hulu, they have 3 levels. They have like kind of scary, and really scary, and so you can kind of what are you in the mood for, but yeah, definitely if you're now is the time to kind of branch out and see what's out there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Plenty to choose from. Speaking of Halloween and horror programming, you saw some horror programming this past weekend, I would say.
That was the only positive to come out of not going into the eye of the hurricane was I was able to go to this movie marathon that was in Chicago at the Davis Theater. It's called the Massacre, and it's They were before COVID. They would do it every year in October, around Halloween. And this usually it's 24 hours. This time it was only 14 hours, but it was amazing. It started at noon on Saturday and went till about I think we got out of there. It was like 2:30 in the morning, and they started off with a couple of silent movies where they brought in a guy to play live organ accompaniment, and that was really cool. It was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from 1912 and The Haunted Hotel from 1907, and they were it's super fun just to watch those old movies. But then once those were over, then they started the regular ones. It was a pretty cool lineup. It was the Thing from Another World from the 1950s. So the movie that John Carpenter remade as The Thing, this was that movie. So that was kind of cool to see that. Then there was a Godzilla movie called Destroy All Monsters, which was fun. A 70s movie called Messiah of Evil. Then Child's Play number 2, the good one. Then at 8 o'clock, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, the classic from 1974. And they actually had the actor John Duggan, who plays Grandpa in the movie. He was there at the theater signing autographs. And so that was really fun to have him come in and talk about making the movie. And it's interesting. He is a Chicago guy, so there's a Chicago connection to the Chainsaw Massacre. So that was kind of fun. Then The Howling, which is a really cool vampire movie from the early 80s starring Dee Wallace, Mama D herself, so that was cool. Then they finished off with 2 Italian movies that were super fun. One was called Stage Fright, and the other was Burial Ground. And Stage Fright is a bunch of actors are putting on a play, and they're literally locked into the stage with a serial killer, and don't you just hate it when that happens? And so he's killing them all one by one, and they're trying to survive. That was goofy fun. And then the Burial Ground was a Italian zombie movie, and so that was just fun to see. Clearly they watched Fulci Zombie a lot because all the ghouls look like the Fulci zombies, but it was fun. It was Italian goodness, and the dubbing was awful, and we loved it. So it was overall it was an amazing show. The Davis is a really cool theater. There's a restaurant right attached to it that you can order food and they'll deliver it right in the theater, and so it was good times. We had a really good time. It was unfortunate that you were unable to attend because it was a good time.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. But I will be able to attend. Everyone check your local listings, because on Halloween weekend at Regal Cinemas, specifically that chain, they will be doing Dawn of the Dead in 3D. And there's multiple, the place where we're going, there's multiple show times on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of Halloween weekend. And I think even on the Monday, the Halloween itself. And we will be there on Friday night. See that. I'm very excited.
Well, and the week before, there is another horror festival that I believe you are going with.
Which horror festival is that?
It's the one at the Music Box.
So. Oh, that's the 24-hour one, isn't it? Or?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 24 hours, but it runs, a goodly amount of time. And I think that's the 22nd and 23rd, I want to say. Maybe the 21st, whatever. It's that weekend before the Halloween weekend with Dawn of the Dead. So, yeah, we got bunches of stuff coming up.
Lots of stuff going. So, plenty, if you're in the Chicagoland area, of things to do, but also the Dawn of the Dead at the Regal Cinemas, if you've got one in your area.
Yeah.
Absolutely sounds like it's going to be a great time to go.
Yeah, and you should definitely check again, because I did read that they added more theaters that it was going to be shown at. So
yeah, because I think the response was really, really overwhelming. So they were able to add some more in there, which was really great.
Absolutely. I'm super curious to see how a movie that was not shot to be in 3D is now in 3D. I want to see what they're going to do. I mean, I can think of a couple of examples in the movie that are kind of 3D where they do stuff towards the camera. Not because they wanted to make it 3D, that's just the way George Romero shot it. But they're few and far between, so I'm like, all right, let's just see what they do.
Yeah. So this will be fun to see. I mean, it'll be on the big screen, so it'll be fun.
It's going to be great.
And it's Halloween weekend, so it'll be kitschy and fun. And, and it's, popcorn. And hopefully this time around, there won't be any issues when we go to watch the movie with, our friend Jody getting food in advance. So
yes.
Not like last time.
Oh,
so,
boy.
yeah. I think we kind of hit everything. I don't think we got anything else to catch people up on.
No, I think that's it.
I think we did it. Oh my God.
Wow.
We're back. We're so excited to talk about the main series. We're going to be back. After next week, we'll be back every week. But, you know what I mean.
I know it.
We're excited to continue to cover this final epic season of The Walking Dead. We're so glad you guys are coming along with us. As always, send us your feedback. We can't wait to hear it. But until next time, as always, I'm Diana.
And I'm Steve.
And don't forget to always aim for the head.
Because body shots just don't work. To send us an email, write us at aimfortheheadpodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @AFTHpodcast.
Pictures and video are always welcome at our Instagram account, Aim for the Head Podcast, all one word. But the best way to keep in touch with us is to just like our Facebook page to get all of our updates in your feed. It's sad because, like, when they started the first one way back when, you were like, oh my God, there's like 24 of them. That's like 5 seasons of this show. You know, we have so much time. And now it's like, nope, there's only 8 left.
Yeah.
And now there's really only 7 left.